Hi everyone. So for my final video essay, I chose to analyze the 2023 film Saltburn, directed by Emerald Fennell. If you've seen it, you know this movie is a pretty wild ride. It's chaotic and twisted and weirdly kind of it's a beautiful film. um, but it does a lot of odd things with kind of just how the story is told. So I'm looking at it through a narrative lens. How it uses structure, tone shifts, and an unreliable narrator to mess with the audience. So, Oliver, main character, is kind of a quiet, awkward guy at Oxford. He doesn't really fit in, but he connects with a super charming and handsome, wealthy guy named Felix. So, Felix invites Oliver to his family's estate called Saltburn for the summer. And it seems like we're kind of getting the classic outsider gets pulled in with rich kid kind of narrative. It's what it feels like, but the movie kind of builds tension between classes and privilege and even identity. And by the end, you realize that the story is not at all what you thought it was. So that's the entire point of the movie. It uses narrative manipulation to mess with your perception of Oliver, the main character. He's not just awkward, he's very calculated with everything that he does. And honestly, this movie has one of the biggest twists, I feel like. But you're watching it through Oliver's version of the story. If you got it through other people's version, it would be completely different. He's the narrator of the entire movie. So, but he's not a reliable narrator. There are a lot of details that don't really make sense in the movie until the very end. And then when the final twist hits, everything kind of locks into place and you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? The film kind of withholds key moments. We never see Oliver actually kill anyone, but we do see the aftermath at the end of the movie. We see the shift in his eyes, and that his actual acts are still hidden, even in until the final montage kind of shows what all happened. So you're shown flashbacks of poisoning, the manipulation and setups, and it's oh, he's not just a troubled outsider kid, he's literally the villain of the entire story. And he's been writing this whole story the whole time. So the final scene is literally one of the most talked about endings in a recent film. Oliver is completely alone and naked and dancing through the Saltburn mansion to Murder on the Dance Floor. So it's super weird and creepy, but it's also confident and kind of victorious. It's a tone shift, I guess, because you're not you're not left feeling sad at the end of this movie. You feel weird. Watching the celebration that Oliver does, and he's completely taken over. He gets the status, he gets the house, he gets it all now. So the story was completely rewritten just in Oliver's favor, which he's the narrator. And the funny thing is, throughout the movie, you're rooting for Oliver. The narrative kind of plays with sympathy. We're made to feel bad for Oliver and his background, but in the end you realize that your own empathy was part of manipulation. So that is why I feel this narrative structure is so clever. I don't really know that I've seen many movies that tell a story in this way, and I think it's really cool. It just controls how the audience feels. So honestly, I feel like Saltburn is a master of like a narrative trickery. It's crazy, but using the unreliable narrator and holding back key information and like shifting emotional tones to like mess with how the audience feels and like their expectations of the film, it like kind of forces you at the end to question why you believe what you believe. It's not just about like plot twists, it's about really how stories are told and who gets to tell them.